And we are live. Yes. All right. Good morning. How is everybody doing on this Monday morning in March where we are what are we experiencing, Rodney? Like a completely different time, different course of events than I think any of us have ever experienced in our lifetime with what is going on with this COVID slash coronavirus situation. A lot of unknowns here, but a lot of people stepping in to do the things that need to be done for our community and for our children. And so I am here with Rodney Jordan, who is the Norfolk Public Schools school board member. And because of our dedication to our youth, we have decided that we are going to do a Get Clever virtual community read-in. Okay, so our goal is to keep our children engaged in learning and to also provide a sense of calmness and stability and care while they're out of school for these 2 weeks. Because I know here in Hampton Roads and in a lot of places, schools are shut down for at least 2 weeks. So we are getting ready to bring ourselves and other community guest readers on to make sure that our children have stories read to them on the daily. And it is culturally affirming, culturally responsive stories, of course, because you know that this is a Clever Communities production. So we're going to have these types of faces, okay? Rodney, what you got to say?
Well, no, I think you said it well, but the other piece of this is with all of the shutdown activities that are happening, we also have a lot of folks who are teleworking, or we have families who are home and also just trying to figure out what to do to provide support for their children. So I think what we're trying to figure out today, and this is our prototype, what we're trying to figure out today is how can we support families and children? How can we support the children? How can we be a supplement to the various packages and other things that we know are coming home for children to work on? I just think as you and I were talking, and as others in the forward saying, this to me just seems to be one way that for an hour or so during the day or a couple of hours during the day, that we could have something to supplement ongoing activity in reading. Because just as we often talk about the summer slide, where young people are not in school during the summer, I don't want us to have a COVID slide. So I think this is just an opportunity for us to figure out how we can provide additional support for families as we all try to figure out what we do under the circumstances that we're under.
Agreed, definitely. We're interested also. This is a community production. So we're interested from, hearing from you all, what are some of the things that you have going on during this time? What are some of the things that you and your family, you and your children may be dealing with? Like Rodney said, we're here to provide this space of continued learning to supplement some of the things that are already going on. If you guys follow Clever Communities in Action, you know that we are all about promoting literacy, which is the foundation of learning and positive cultural representation through literature. So this is an extension of that. If you are not following Clever Communities in Action, now is a great time for you to go to Clever Communities in Action and click that like button so you can stay abreast of the things that we have going on for the youth and community. Any feedback, anything from the public school perspective right now, just overall, not just particularly a Norfolk thing, but just as what you do, the work that you do, Rodney, anything you want to share viewers?
I would just say generally, we appreciate the patience that parents and the community is showing. Like you said, this is an event that is new to many of us. So I just know from the background that there are a lot of hardworking superintendents and principals and teachers and support cafeteria workers and custodians who are out there just trying to make sure that our schools are in good conditions while people are away, that we can invite folks back, that we can provide meals. But in addition, what this is all about is to make sure that we can support learning while families are home. So our opportunity to send an email, or if you see the story, just say thank you. Trying out how to provide support, for students and each other. But they have families too, and so I just think that if we can all be kind and patient and supportive of one another, and just take that spirit that we have always had here, frankly, from our perspective, as we talk about culture in America. I mean, we've brought that culture of looking out for one another and being about the village. And I think that's what we need to do today.
Agreed. And I want to say peace to Sister Shioma. And also we got my brother Jason said, peace, sis, let's get it. That's what we're about to do. Thank you so much, both of you, for tuning in. Shioma also said, great work, both of you. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you both for the work that you all do for our youth and community. I am really, really proud of the way that our community is coming together, because I was kind of just, sitting back, observing. And the minute they started talking about school shutdowns, then, I'm like, oh, I'm in it now. Because this is affecting our children, which is a ripple effect for all aspects of the community. How are the babies going to eat? The various working situations, all of these things that you kind of, just went through in a great way, Rodney. But everybody, like you said, so many people are willing to work. I was like, well, Hampton Roads, we form like Voltron. And I see other, communities as well, because that was the sentiment. Everybody is like, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? And in Atlanta, just all across Baltimore, just so many places across the country, I'm seeing, different aspects of community coming together. The crazy thing, you guys, or the odd thing, because we're doing a little commentary before we jump into the reading part, because we want to talk. This is something different that we're experiencing. And it's like everybody's trying to figure out what to do, because we've had various natural disasters to hit. So-called pandemic is something very different, and the parameters, the proper ways in which you handle that is new to everybody. And we appreciate the patience, the civility, all of these things that are happening as we're, figuring out what the mandates are from the top and just how we're handling these situations. But so far, I've seen a lot of positivity, community coming together. So we appreciate the love that you guys are extending to us via this, but we're giving like so much love and shout out to the community and just our village, our local national village, and how this whole situation is being handled.
Well, I think you said it well, and what's really keeps me optimistic and why I'm talking to you and so many others. We just went to work, because as you said, just as you received phone calls or you were reaching out to me about food and reading, so many others were. And so it reminded me, believe it or not, back in the mid 90s, my brother and I had started one of the first African-American websites on the internet. And one of the things that we set up at that time was something called Watoto World, where Watoto means children. And so we were working with his children were young at the time, and my children were young, and we were trying to find a place where individuals could come on the web and access cultural relevant content, back in the mid 90s. And so when you were reaching out, and so many others, Kasia, and so many other people were calling me, that's why I created this little Watoto World brainstorming group that we have online, and those that are interested can be a part of that, because I think there's so much talent out there and so many people that are trying to do good things, that to the extent that we can bring folks together and leverage this brain power that we have, you end up with things like this that we're doing today. So I think that's the other benefit that comes out of this, that even while we may be isolated and have some social distancing that we're dealing with, being able to collaborate online, being able to figure out how do we provide access to families that may not have it. Believe it or not, right now I'm sitting in the Studio Gallery Norfolk on 35th Street. I am connected through a Cox Wi-Fi hotspot, and I'm doing that intentionally because Kasia Real, who has started this gallery, she has some computers behind me. And so we were just trying to figure out if a family was in the situation where they didn't have access to a computer at home, if they didn't have access to the internet, what could we put together that would allow somebody to get access so they can do their homework or participate on something like that, at the same time be able to maintain some of the social distancing and other recommendations that are coming forward. So I just feel like we talk about being a resilient community. No one's more resilient than folks like here on 35th Street and the 35th Streets all around this country. And so I think to the extent that we can leverage the assets and build upon the strengths, there's nothing that we can't figure out to make sure that our children are well taken care of.
I agree. What's the location where you are again?
I'm at the corner of 35th and Newport. I'm looking out the window and I can see a Croker Spot across the street. I can see Brad Kahn hair studio across the street, and right down the block is Freshtopia. So I'm in the 500 block of West 35th Street, Norfolk, Virginia.
Excellent. And so this is a possible community resource, you're saying?
Right now we're trying to figure, so just like we are prototyping this, we'll be prototyping some other activities. People have been contacting in terms of how do we connect families with the meals that are being provided to the students. We know that we have seniors who are in the community. So what I've been trying to encourage people to do is start with your own block. So if you know the neighbors on your block, if you know that there's a senior on your block, then there's, so on 35th Street, we have a restaurant down the street called Cutters. So I know she was in here over the weekend and we were just talking about, in the old fashioned way, if she prepared some meals, how can one neighbor get that meal to a senior? And we're trying to keep the seniors inside because we don't want them to because they tend to be vulnerable. So I think we just have to be smart, listen to what the officials are telling us, but also be creative because we want to make sure that everybody is well served while we're under the conditions that we're under.
Excellent. Definitely agree. That's some great brainstorming that the community is coming together to do. Like, however this goes down in the history books, they better put in the part about how people came together.
We can write our own history, so that's right.
Yeah. We're definitely conveying our own culture, and we have the ability to do that. So let's not forget that aspect of it. And I've been seeing a lot of cooler heads prevailing, and again, a sense of community and not selfishness. So I'm so proud of us for that. And thank you, Tanya. We appreciate you. They're gonna get to know you a little better soon. Charles, how are you doing? He said good morning. Let him know how he can help. Hey. Yes, that's my.
I think Charles introduced me to you.
Okay. Yes. So he knows me from the wee stages of when I was getting started and what I was doing. So much love for that, brother. And then we have Charles Johnson, who said stay the course in educating our youth. Thank you so much. Definitely have to.
So Charles is Civic League president in Park Place, where I'm sitting right now. And normally he would be out here, just helping to keep the community vibrant and attractive. And I know that spirit is still there. Something I just wanted to mention that I think is important as we talked about culture, and something that you and I talked about as we were working on this. This is inclusive. So we are looking for individuals of all backgrounds, all economic situations, all ethnicities to come in and be involved. But because we also are trying to make sure that we stay true to your goals.
So on my end, you guys, Rodney has frozen up. I don't know. Somebody in the comments, let me know if you're able to hear him still. I cannot hear him. So I hope.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Well, it's one of the things about prototyping, so we can see that. And I think that's a good opportunity. So we're doing this right now at 11 o'clock in the morning during the day. And we kind of chose that because we wanted to see, at least I know, having two daughters that are older now, a lot of times when school is out like this, people lose their routines. So children tend to get up later. Families are still trying to figure out their work schedules and what they're going to be doing under the circumstances that they are. So we said we would try this around noontime. And then later on this evening, we'll come back at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then we can focus on some kind of like bedtime or nighttime reading as well. So we're testing this out. We want to hear back from those who are observing or participating, what they see that we can improve upon, so that as we move forward and make this available for however long that we can improve upon it and make sure it's a positive resource for our families.
Yes. So, and thank you to Cheryl Wilkerson. We definitely appreciate the kind words, and to everybody tuning in. If you like what you're seeing, you guys, please give us a share so that more people can be aware of what we have going on. To piggyback on what Rodney was saying before he went freeze tag on us is, we will be looking for guest readers. If you're interested in being a guest reader, because right now we're just doing the little warm up, getting everybody acclimated to what we're doing. And as Rodney keeps articulating, this is kind of like a little test for us. We're being creative with this platform and what it allows for us to do, because this is what we're getting ready to do is not typically how people use it, but what's typical about about us and about these circumstances, right? Who wants to be typical? So anyway, we're exercising that kuumba, that umoja, that kuji chagalia, all of these different things that are supposed to happen, not just in December, the time when we come and convene about how we use those various principles, but that should be used all throughout the year. So I know, so we'll be looking for guest readers. If you're interested and drop your email address in the comment section so we can send you some information about that, because we're going to keep this thing going. That's the plan. So yes, we do focus on culturally affirming, culturally responsive literature. That is important, and that is something that is positive for every child to see, right? So we definitely have an arsenal. Y'all know me. If you follow me, you know I'm the book lady, okay? So I have a whole arsenal of children's books here, and I'm pretty sure Rodney has the same, and some of the other villagers who are interested in reading, they have some of their own. And if you don't, we do have a way, if you would like to read and you're in the Hampton Roads area, where you could possibly where we can possibly get a book for you to be able to read, okay? So the other thing, if you guys have not already liked Clever Communities in Action, that is my nonprofit organization. We focus on informing people of and providing culturally responsive literature, making sure that representation is present when it comes to reading, so that children can see characters that look like themselves. This is something that is very important, and also that all children can see characters that venture out of the norm, the same things that we always see in our libraries all the time. We need to spice it up and make sure that there is representation there, so that we have an understanding of our own culture and other cultures as well. I don't know about you, Rodney. Do you have a lot of? Is your children's book library pretty vast?
I try, I was reading this just last week as part of Read Across America Day. Have some behind it. I've got time here, so you see I'm practicing, knowing my left from my right. But in my, growing up, my parents tried to make sure that we had books that were diverse and inclusive. I tried to do that with my children. I learned a lot of that from my brother, who was up in Washington, D.C., so he could go to
Okay. So Rodney keeps playing freeze tag with us, but one of our goals for for our organization and the community in 2020 for Clever Communities in Action is to build up home libraries for children and to increase library visits. So if you have children in your lives, if you are a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, if you are a villager in the community, if you are a church member, if you are a Sunday school teacher, if your mosque, whatever it may be, your fraternity, sorority, that we are making sure that we give these types of books as gifts. And that's just because gifts, birthday gifts, holiday gifts, and then we are purchasing these books for the children in our lives. Like I said, whatever the relation may be to you, you can build up a church and mosque library, but we definitely want to help build home libraries and increase library visits. That is the goal. Those are the goals of 2020, to build up home libraries where children are used to seeing, if you're able to do such, to build up the home libraries where at home books are a part of life, seeing them, being able to feel them, touch them, pick them up, being encouraged to read them, reading them together possibly, but incorporating that into the fabric of our children's lives, because literacy is the foundation of learning. And there is so much positivity that comes from reading. I say a lot of times that a book is like the stamps on a passport that a child will get. Oftentimes children can't have control over where they go themselves, but if they pick up a great book, such as, where is my Swift Walker? Where is he? Where is Swift Walker? Swift Walker takes journeys across the oceans, okay? So look at this little brown boy, and as he goes exploring the oceans, and while he does that, it's a great adventure. And that's the opportunity for a child to use his or her imagination and think about what all that means to travel that way, and open her or him up to so many different experiences. So having these books in the home, going to the library, knowing that process and valuing that as a visit, as when it's like, oh, I don't have anything to do, well, let's go to the library, encouraging that. These are the goals that we have. So if you have not liked the Clever Communities in Action page, make sure you mosey on over there and give that page a like. And if you are interested in what we're talking about right now and what it is that we're about to get into, make sure you give us a share right now so that more people can be aware of this, because we want you joining in. If you have little ones with you right now, if you have family members who have little ones, this is the broadcast that they want to be tuned into. We'll be giving you guys more information on the details. Like Rodney said, this is our prototype. So after today, we'll be able to tell you better, like tune in at this time. We'll set reminders on the page. That's why you want to like the page. So we'll let you know ahead of time what time we're coming on to read. But give us a share. Give us a share so other people can become aware of what we have, what we're providing here. And also, if you are interested in being a virtual guest reader, then drop your email in the comment section and we will contact you about being a guest reader. We would love, 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 love to have you.
Yeah. As well as that, we'll be promoting the opportunity to sign up. We have a sign up genius that we'll use. But as you were talking, you reminded me that in my barbershop on Princess Anne Road in Norfolk at Culture Cuts, the bookcase that used to be in the bedroom, my brother and I had bunk beds, and there
Okay. So Rodney keeps playing freeze tag with us. So tag, he's it. So, well, he's frozen. I'm it and he's frozen. But it's interesting that he was talking about the barbershop, because another
So that
aspect.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're back. So while people come to the barbershop, that we can also have books available for the young people to read. And I mean, young people, people of all ages, being able to for a young person to pick up a book and read, or for the others who are in the barbershop to read to the young children, or vice versa. My Uncle Jerry, when I was growing up, had a barbershop on Church Street, and I can remember when we would go to the barbershop and reading. Some of the men who were in the shop would read, or I would read to them. And so I just think that is a cultural norm we should continue and expand.
Well, you know who you're talking to. So,
Yes.
that's very that you brought that up. Clever Communities in Action has a barbershop based literacy program called Razor Sharp Readers. And we are in two barbershops in Norfolk, and we have some exciting information coming as a new location that we have coming up very soon. So these are all the reasons why you want to make sure you like the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page. But our barbershop based literacy program is we have a bookcase full of books that focus on African American children's literature, promoting that show brown characters, and it promotes children to be excited about reading. They come in and they read to their barbers. They get positive affirmations. They get prizes. They get their name on the chart. They get stars when they get their cut, and then after a certain amount, they get a free cut. We are at Kinetic Cuts and Styles on Little Creek Road in Norfolk, Virginia. Shout out to Kinetic Cuts and Styles, and that's the Razor Sharp Readers program. And then at Better Barbers, located in Tidewater Drive in Norfolk, and it's a really, really great program. It infuses promoting literacy, culturally affirming books and literature. We bring in author visits, positive affirmations, which is mentorship, just so many wonderful things. And as Rodney was stating, an environment that is a staple to communities. Being in the barbershop is like a rites of passage. And me with my arsenal of children's books right here, this is our signature book by one of our favorites, New York Times bestselling author Derek Barnes, who actually came out here and did a presentation at our Kinetic Cuts and Styles location, and also went to Lindenwood Elementary School in Norfolk and did a presentation there as well. The children were donned with crowns on their head. It was just a great, great, great village production. So that's Razor Sharp Readers. You guys make sure you like the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page. And also you can go to clevercommunities.org to learn more about the work that we are doing in relation to literacy and positive representation. We got some exciting events coming up soon as well. So a new Razor Sharp Readers location and some other cool events. Let me see. We have an email drop. Let's get to these great comments here. Tyra said, absolutely. Rodney, you guys know this is our test thing. So the link that you have, send that to Tanya, okay? Make sure, because I don't have her information. So the link that I gave you, send that to her so she can join. Let's see. Tyra, we're going to have you up here reading, sis. With that, absolutely. I know you're gonna come and be a reader. Charles said, you guys make great points. We have to reach out to every facet of our community so they may be aware of what we are trying to do. Yes, and thank you so much for the support. Again, if you guys are liking what you're seeing, what you're hearing, please give us a share. We have Rosine. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Roshan.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Roshan. I'm hungry.
So
Roshan said, love this, and hello, Rodney. Yes, and then he gave us an emphatic yes, Roshan.
So Roshan also is, he may be right down the street from me right now. Roshan, who has his own collection of books, comic books, and other books that he's been doing around anti-bullying. He does his own podcast. So there are individuals like Roshan who have that talent. His sister, did this book that I showed earlier. So we have all these assets, and if we can get individuals that are doing podcasts, that are doing readings of their own, that are involved with producing literature, to be able to come in and leverage these resources, we can make absolutely sure that our children, whether it's during an event like this, or whether it's every single day, 365 days a year, can access resources, whether it's virtual or in person. So as someone just said, we have a true village of readers. Because as you said, Starr, at the beginning, we know that literacy is at the foundation of everything else. And so the more that we can be engaged, I appreciate what the school system does. I appreciate what the local governments do. I appreciate what the federal government does. But the bottom line is, it starts in the home. It starts on the block. It starts neighbor to neighbor. And if we can create that culture of literacy and readers just neighbor to neighbor, then when they get to school, then the teachers who are prepared to take them to the next level will be able to do and impart upon them all the skills that teachers are there to give.
Yes, yes. Literacy is definitely the foundation. And, with all other subjects, that you have to have that strength in reading. And reading and being a strong, competent reader builds confidence in our children as well. So there are so many benefits to literacy. So we just want to promote that, promote that, promote that. Again, building home libraries and increasing library visits in 2020. And a great way to do that is make sure that these culturally responsive, I like to call them culturally affirming books. Let me see, I'm running through, I pulled out some of my stash here. Some of my stash. Just going to throw a few titles. Just see a few. This one is so timely. We just did an interview with our author interviews and book reviews with the author of this. Shout out to Dr. Kenneth Vaughn. This is one of our local authors here, but there's just an arsenal of there's an arsenal of literature like this, and we're accepting village readers, as Antoine said, to make this thing be great for our youth during this experience while they're out of school, and all the time. Okay. Let's see. Lisa said this is a time to remind parents about all the little free libraries.
Yes, she's right. Yes. There's been this movement definitely in the city and the country. So James Monroe Elementary School, I can see that out the window from where I am now. And so on 29th Street, I know Roshan and others were very instrumental in getting a little library there. And in these little libraries that are in the neighborhood, people will place books in there, and they're free and available for anybody to come and check out a book, read the book, put the book back, add books to it. But those little libraries are absolutely another way of just making sure books in the hands of this, and it's convenient. It's there on the block, down the street, across from the school, in front of your house, wherever it is that we can find individuals that are willing to set up these little libraries. They're right there.
Yes, yes. And we just, at Clever Communities in Action, we ask that you brown them up. The books that you are donating, especially when you are in the community, make sure that you are putting selections that reflect where children can see themselves in the books that they are reading. And those books are beneficial in that way, and they're beneficial to all children. And I think that I see the movement. I see since we started doing this work, it's starting to become, there's still work to be done, but I'm starting to see more and more and more pushes for books with characters that look like this. So we're excited about that, but that is always something to consider, as we know that representation does matter. Charles said that he's going to need you to get Verizon or something, brother, because we want to hear from you. So when you keep, and he's completely gone. I don't know where he went, but I'm going to bring Tanya on here. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Starr?
I am doing well, and I see you have a beautiful person with us.
Yes, this is my daughter, Sai. Say
okay.
Hi, Sai. Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good, good. So wait a minute. Let me see. Before we get started on your read, because Tanya and Sai are going to be our first set of readers. Let me bring Rodney back up here.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
There you are. Right as we were leaving the Verizon, as I was reading.
Yeah, I saw Charles's comment. I told him this is a real world test. So tonight I'll be in the house and I'll see whether or not it's different. But I'm here intentionally because I want to be able to see what is the throughput capability if somebody wants to, if they don't have access to the internet, but there's a Wi-Fi hotspot around the corner. Can they go there or go someplace and get access? So we'll see how it goes. And we're not tied to any particular ISP, but we just want to make sure that wherever there are access points available, we can make sure that they serve our community.
Yeah, and now I learned that if you drive close enough to one of the libraries, one of the public libraries, there's in some places you can access the Wi-Fi, but not necessarily convenient, but you know, an option.
Yeah. Well, you all know I have it. It was around the country doing work for the last 10, 15 years. And so what this event has shown us is we still have digital divide and digital equity issues. And so we need to be talking to our local governments. We need to be talking to ISPs. We need to be looking at opportunities with 5G deployment and all those types of things to make sure that just how in the banking industry we have community reinvestment that we deal with, we need to make sure that our localities and our telecom industry is also making sure that they are supporting broadband adoption and literacy programs in greater capacity so that we don't have any child or any family that goes unconnected. That's my commercial.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, and Karen said it's so important for children and adults to see themselves reflected on the covers and pages. Okay, Karen, exactly.
Can I give Karen just a quick shout out, because when we talk about food insecurity, Karen Bailey and her efforts around youth and learning and earning and being out there and providing healthy meals for families on 35th Street for the last several years. I've had a Safe Festival, Scholar Arts and Youth Festival. And she has always been a supporter, and she's always been on the cutting edge of trying to make sure that whatever it is that our community needs, that she's out. She was harassing me late last night about how do we connect Chesterfield Heights to opportunities that our schools are providing in terms of meals. So I just want to acknowledge her and her innovation, her creativity, and please continue to support her and support the good work that she does in the community.
Excellent. Great work, Karen. Thank you so much for all that you do. And everybody tuned in right now. We know quite a few of you, and it's a list of heavy hitters on here. People who have made some great contributions to our community and are still doing so. So we appreciate that. And again, we are about to get our first reading from Tanya and Sai. And if you are interested in being a guest reader as we move forward, then please drop your email address, or you can message. If you don't want to put your email in the comment section, then you can message Clever Communities in Action. You can message me, or you can message Rodney or Tanya, and we will make sure that we send the information out to you so that you can be a village reader for our virtual, our Get Clever virtual community reading. Okay. So right now, let's see, a few more shout outs we got here. Ellen Donahoe Ray said, hi, Tanya and Sai. And Karen says, thank you, Rodney. Thank you. She appreciates that love. We appreciate it.
Thank her.
So let me see here again. We're prototyping a little bit. I have used this quite a bit when I'm doing a solo broadcast and having people on, but the way we're doing, and I've had guests, but doing this guest reader thing is a little different. So I'm gonna have to cut myself and Rodney out and let Sai and Tanya get on here full screen so you guys can get your first story. If you have some children, if you have some youth, now is the time to have them together around the computer, the phone, the tablet, whatever device that you are using. Make sure that they are gathered around now. And let's see. Let me make this happen here. I got to get Rodney off of here. And then I got to get, okay. So are you guys ready?
We are ready to go.
Are you ready, Sai?
We are ready.
Okay. All right. And 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Here we go.
All right. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining in. I know not everyone was expecting to have this kind of Monday, but here we are, and we're going to keep plugging away, doing the best we can in the situation we're in. You want to introduce yourself, Sai?
Hi, I'm Sai, and I'm a 6th grader.
She's a 6th grader. Why do you think this is a cool idea?
Because, well, we have kids who can't afford books or don't have access to books, and having people read to them will give them opportunities to hear stories that could help them with.
Okay, or it just helps to have somebody to read with, like to buddy read, and it's not necessarily about that, but just having some fun and togetherness when we really can't be together right now. So one of the things that Sai and I are going to do is we're gonna buddy read. She's going to read part of, actually, we're going to read from Goodnight Stories about for rebel girls, and sometimes we like to think we're rebel girls, right? Yeah. So anyway, these are some really awesome stories about real life people women who have done great things. And I think it's awesome for everyone, not just girls, to hear these stories. So we're going to read a few of them today. If you want to chime in and share some thoughts about some of the individuals that we're talking about, that would be awesome. And otherwise, we're going to start with our first person that we're going to read about, and Sai's going to start and say the name and where that person was born. How about that? Okay. Before you tell the story about them.
So the first person is Alec Weck. She was a supermodel, and she was born in Sudan on April 16th, 1977. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Alec who would stop by a mango tree to get a snack on her way home from school. In Alec's village, there was no running water nor electricity. She had to walk to a well for drinking water, but she and her family lived a simple and happy life. Then a terrible war broke out, and Alec's life changed forever. As the warning sirens rolled over their village, Alec and her family had to run away from the fighting. It was a rainy season. The river had flooded, the bridges across it were underwater, and Alec could not swim. She was terrified of drowning, but her mom helped her cross safely to the other side. Along the way, Alec's mom traded packets of salt for food and passports because they didn't have any money. They managed to escape from the war and made their way to London. One day she was in a park when a talent scout from a famous modeling agency approached her. He wanted to recruit Alec as a model. Alec's mother did not want to hear about it, but the agent persisted, and she finally agreed. Alec looked so differently from any other model that she instantly became a sensation. Alec wants every girl on the planet to know, you are beautiful. It's okay to be quirky. It's fine to be shy. You don't have to go with the crowd. And her quote was, when beauty shines from within, there can be no denying it.
Yep. So again, when beauty shines from within, there can be no denying it. I think we can all agree with that. Let's see. Inside, do you know where Sudan is?
In Africa.
In Africa. Very good. All right. So the next person, the next woman we're going to read about is Amina Garib Fakim. She was a president and a scientist, and she was born on October 17th, 1959 in Mauritius. And a lot of people don't know where that is. Now, can you take a guess? I know you're always being quizzed about geography in this house. Let's see if you remember. Thinking. Anybody else want to take a gander? Huh. So it's an island country off the Indian Ocean, I'm sorry, close to Madagascar. Okay. So what? Interesting? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. So in an island nation in the Indian Ocean called Mauritius, there lived a girl who wanted to know everything about plants. Her name was Amina. Amina studied biodiversity. She analyzed hundreds of aromatic and medical herbs and flowers. She studied their properties and traveled to rural villages to learn from traditional healers how they used plants in their rituals. For Amina, plants were like friends. Her favorite tree was the baobab because it was so useful. It stores water in its trunk, its leaves can cure infections, and its fruit, called monkey apple, contains more proteins than human milk. Amina thought that a lot could be learned from plants. Plants like benjoin, for example, the leaves of benjoin are different shapes and sizes. Animals won't eat plants they don't recognize, so they tend to leave this plant alone. Quite smart, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Amina thought of plants as living biological labs full of vital information for humans and other species. Every time a forest is cut down, we lose an entire laboratory, a lab that we will never, ever. Amina Garib was elected president of Mauritius, and every day she fights hard for the inhabitants of her country, people, animals, and of course, plants. Let's see who we have up next. Let's see. I saw a really good, I think a lot of people.
So this person was a person who was very well known amongst everybody.
Yeah. Didn't you recently learn about her too, right? What was she? She was a freedom fighter. And where was she born?
She was born in California, right?
Yeah. So it's California.
In 1822 to March 10th, 1930.
That's when she passed away.
Yeah.
Yep.
And her name was Harriet Tubman. One day, a girl was standing in front of a grocery store when a black man came running past her. He was being chased by a white man who yelled, "Stop that man! He's my slave!" She did nothing to stop him. The girl's name was Harriet. She was 12 years old, and she was also enslaved. Harriet hoped the man would escape. She wanted to help him. Just then, the overseer hurled an iron object at the running man. He missed, but it hit Harriet in the head. She was badly injured, but her thick hair cushioned the blow enough to save her life. My hair had never been combed, she said, and it stood out like a bushel basket. A few years later, the family who owned her put her up for sale, so Harriet decided to escape. She hid in the daytime and traveled by night. When she crossed the border into Pennsylvania, she realized for the first time in her life she was free. I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person now that I was free. There was such glory over everything, and I felt like I was in heaven. She thought about the runaway slave and her family in Maryland who were still enslaved. She knew she had to help them. Over the next 11 years, she went back 19 times and rescued hundreds of enslaved people. She was never captured, and she never lost a single person.
Wow.
And one of her quotes were, "And I prayed to God to make me as strong, to make me strong and able to fight, and that's what I've always prayed for ever since. Harriet Tubman.
I'll show a picture. Take that. Yeah. All right. All right, my turn. Okay, next we have a musician, Melba Liston. She was a trombonist. She was also born in the United States, born in 1926, and died in 1999. Once there was a small girl who wanted to play the trombone. I don't know if any of you guys are trombone players. Do you know what a trombone is?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Her name was Melba. When Melba was 7, a traveling music store came to town. She saw a bright, shiny brass instrument, and Melba just knew she had to have one. That, exclaimed her mother, for a little bitty girl? Why, it's almost as tall as you are. But Melba insisted. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Melba started to play her trombone every day. She tried to go to music lessons, but she didn't get along with her teacher. I'll learn on my own. I'll just play it by ear, she said. It was hard, but she loved the bold, brassy sound the instrument made. Within a year, she was good enough to play solo trombone on the local radio station. When she was still a teenager, Melba toured the United States with a band led by trumpet player Gerald Wilson. A few years later, she was hired to accompany Billie Holiday, one of the greatest jazz singers of all time, on a tour in the South. The tour wasn't as successful as they expected, so when Melba returned home, she decided to give up playing. Oh, that's too bad.
Never give up.
But her passion was too strong. She soon returned to writing and playing music. She even came out with a solo album, Melba Liston and Her Bones, short for trombones. She also arranged music for other musicians, weaving rhythms, harmonies, and melodies into gorgeous songs for all the jazz greats of the 20th century. Here's a picture of her playing the trombone. All right, let's see who we have left here. We have a few more. Cena Cruz.
All right. She was an activist and a politician. She was born in Mexico on January 1st, 1979. Once there was a girl who didn't want to make tortillas. When her father told her that women can only make tortillas and children, she burst into tears and promised to show him that it wasn't true. You can leave this house, but don't expect a single cent from me, he told her. Cena started out by selling chewing gum and fruit on the street to pay for her studies. She got a degree in accounting and came back home with a job as a teacher. She started to teach young Indigenous girls like herself so that they could find the strength and the resources to build their own lives. One day she decided to run for mayor of her town. She won many votes, but despite that, the townsmen canceled the election.
Oh my goodness.
A woman as mayor? Don't be ridiculous, they said. Furious, Cena started to work even harder. She found an organization called Quego to help Indigenous women fight for their rights. Their symbol was a white lily. Wherever I go, I take this flower to remind people that Indigenous women are exactly like that, natural, beautiful, and resilient, Cena said. A few years later, Cena became the first Indigenous woman to be elected of the state Congress. When the First Lady of Mexico came to visit, Cena walked arm in arm with her in front of the local population. She showed her father, the whole world, that there is nothing that the strong Indigenous women of Mexico cannot do.
That's right.
Her quote was, "When a woman decides to change, everything changes around her."
Yeah.
Cena.
That's one of my favorite quotes. When a woman decides to change, everything changes around her. I think all the women on this thread can agree with that, right? And girls. Let's see. All right, and then we have Cora Coralina. She was a poet and a baker. She was born in Brazil on April 20th, 1889, and she lived until April 10th, 1985. So once upon a time, in a house on a bridge, there was a little girl named Cora who knew she was a poet. Her family did not think so. They did not want her to read books, and they did not want to send her to high school. They thought her job was to find a good husband and raise a family. When she grew up, Cora fell in love with a man and they got married. She moved with him to the big city and they had 4 children. She worked at all sorts of jobs to make sure her children could go to school. Cora had a busy life, but she never forgot she was a poet. She wrote every single day. When she was 60 years old, she moved back to the house on the bridge. She decided it was time to start her career as a poet. Cora still needed money, so she baked cakes to sell on her doorstep along with her poems. Cora's poems started to be appreciated by other poets and writers. She won prizes and medals, and when she was 75 years old, she published her very first book. Journalists came from all over the country to interview her while she was baking. And when they left, she sat back down at her desk and started to write again, surrounded by the delicious smells of pies, cookies, and cakes. Wow, what do you think of that story, Sai?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's very inspiring to people to keep on doing what they love and their passion.
Right, but even no matter what age, right? Yeah. So one of her quotes is, "I'm that woman who climbed the mountain of life, removing stones and planting flowers." That was Cora Coralina. What, show a picture? I can show you a picture. This is, yeah. All right. So next up we have Balkisa Chaibao.
Okay. Balkisa Chaibao was an activist and born in Niger.
Where is that? Africa. Yeah.
Once there was a girl who wanted to become a doctor. Her name was Balkisa. She was really good at school. One day she discovered that her uncle had promised her in marriage to one of her cousins. Balkisa was horrified. "You can't force me to get married. I want to be a doctor." Fortunately, the country where Balkisa lived allows parents to arrange weddings for their daughters when they are still children. "Just let me stay in school 5 more years," Balkisa begged her parents. Parents agreed to postpone the marriage, but after 5 years, Balkisa's love of learning had only grown stronger. The night before her wedding, she escaped from her house and ran to the closest police station to ask for help. She decided to challenge her uncle in court. She was terrified that this might turn her whole family against her, but her mother quietly encouraged her to keep fighting. The judge agreed with Balkisa, and when her uncle threatened her, he was forced to leave the country. "The day I won the case and put my school uniform back on, I felt that my life was renewed," she says. Today, Balkisa is at the university studying hard to become a doctor. She also campaigns for other young girls to follow her example and say no to forced marriages. She visits schools and speaks to tribal chiefs about the issue. "Study with all your might. It's not easy, but it's your only hope," she says. Her quote was, "I will show them what I can do with my life." Balkisa Chaibao. This is her picture.
Yep. And she was born in 1995. Right? Yeah. So one thing, if you just joined in, Sai and I are reading Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. And honestly, it should be for rebel everyone, because I think we all need to see the power in each one of us, right? So, but especially women who have not had the same rights as women, as men for so many years. So I think this is really important, because all throughout over the decades, women have been standing up and doing great things through the fight and through their passion. Let's read about the Bronte sisters. Okay. So in a cold, bleak house in so these are sisters. They were born in 1816, and they're from the United Kingdom.
And they're writers.
And they're writers. Thank you. So in a cold, bleak house in northern England, there once lived 3 sisters. Charlotte, Emily, and Anne were often alone, and they wrote stories and poems to entertain themselves. One day, Charlotte decided to send her poems to a famous English poet to ask what he thought of them. His response was, "I do not like your poems at all. Literature is a man's business." Charlotte kept on writing. One night, she found a notebook lying on Emily's desk. "Why have you not shown us your poems before?" Charlotte asked. "They are beautiful." Emily was furious at her sister reading her private papers without her permission. But once Emily calmed down, Charlotte proposed, "Why don't we write a book of poetry together?" Emily and Anne agreed. When they finally published the book, it only sold 2 copies. But they still did not give up, and they kept working in secret, discussing their writing at the dinner table. This time, they each worked on a different novel. When the novels came out, they were hugely successful. People at the time couldn't believe that they had been written by 3 country girls. So the sisters had to travel to London to prove that they were indeed the authors. Their books have been translated into many different languages and read by millions across the world. One of Charlotte Bronte's quote is, "I am not an angel, and I will not be one till I die. I will be myself." There you go. I like that. I actually think, did you get any ideas from reading this about the Bronte sisters? About what you might be doing in this time that you have at home when you're done with your other assigned work?
You can actually write stories, get a lot of work done, discover, like research,
right,
new things.
And you could also write some poems and stories. I think that would be a great activity. And maybe we could put some stories together that we could maybe put into a book of our own. Don't you think?
Maybe.
I think so. Well, it looks like our time may be coming to an end for now, but we are back online. I think Kasai and I are back later on this evening. I can't remember the time, but I think we'll put up the schedule later, and you can see when we're back on. But this read-in will be going on all day long, so I hope you guys catch all the other readers that will be reading all day today. All right. Well, thank you guys. I see Starr and Rodney back on, and so I will.
Wait. Before
Yep.
you guys go, hold on, everybody. Let's give a virtual hand clap to Sai and Tanya. They did a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Sai,
happy to be part.
So proud of you. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this. We learned a lot from the words that you read to us. Very impressed by the things that you already knew. You did a great job. Thank you so much, so much. We really, really appreciate you. And you guys read some things I think quite a few people tuned in, learned. And some people already are in the same mind frame as you. You had some people who already enjoyed that book. So it was a favorite that you got to, read to them. And for everybody tuned in, we want you to make sure that you are telling your family and friends about what we're doing, because we want families and children to tune in to these stories. Okay. Rodney, I know you want to say something.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was on mute and but I definitely enjoyed that. This is working out probably better than we thought for the first prototype. I mean, being able to watch a mother and a daughter sharing with one another, talking about it with all of us. I mean, that's what this is. So not only do you have Tanya and her daughter reading to one another, also sharing with all of us, and frankly modeling for what we all can do in terms of just taking a few minutes to read to our children and have our children read to us.
Indeed, definitely. So yes, I agree. I think that went very well. If you are interested in being a village reader, then please drop your email in the comment section and we will send you the information for you to sign up. If you don't want to drop it in the comment section, then you can message Clever Communities in Action, Rodney, myself, or Tanya, and we will get that information to you to sign up. We definitely are looking for more village readers. Also, one of the biggest and easiest things that you can do is to just share this and tell people about it so that people will know this broadcast comes on the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page, and we may be adding other platforms as well, but you definitely can find it on the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page. So let people know so that they will know to tune in as a family or to have their children tune in. As Rodney said, during this time, if you are off and your children are out of school, or make sure, it's a great opportunity to do some of this reading together as a family. So right now I'm going to get into, let me see, I'm going to read a story for you guys. Okay. I am going to, well, first of all, wait, before I do, Rodney, was there anything else that you wanted to say before I dive into my book?
Well, I think you can dive into your book, but one of the things I just want to share. So Tanya mentioned this will be going on all day. No, we're going to come back at 7 o'clock. So after we finish the afternoon session, we're going to come back at 7, and we're going to try it again for, like I said earlier, more of a bedtime evening type of activity. And then tomorrow we'll kind of recap, see what we've learned. We've had a lot of people that have shown interest. I think this has been a great thing. I'm so thankful, Starr, that you kind of jumped on this and encouraged this, and we could go into our Watoto World brainstorming room and come out with this. I know that there are teachers here who are already reading to their children, and so some of them have already reached out in terms of being a part of this, or for us to provide an opportunity to link to their YouTube sites where they've already been doing some reading. So again, I think what we're learning here is that we have lots of strengths, lots of assets. And if we just learn how to collaborate and not put ego in the way, we can all children. So with that, back to you.
All right, you all. Well, let me see. You tuning out, Rodney? I guess I'll take the full screen here. Okay. So I am going to be reading to you all right now. I have a book called Optimistic Ollie, and I have been fortunate enough to meet the author of Optimistic Ollie, and her name is Miss Aisha Smith. With the work that we do with Clever Communities in Action, we engage with authors a lot of the time. So we have a lot of authors. We have authors to come and do readings. We also do an author interviews and book review live show that we've started doing this month. It's kind of being preempted as a result of the situation that we're dealing with as a country with COVID. However, that's another great reason for you to like our page, Clever Communities in Action, because we're always promoting children's book authors and promoting reading and having wonderful events. If you're just tuning in, you can know about our barbershop-based literacy program, Razor Sharp Readers. We also have a program called Read to Lead, where we have placed thousands of African-American children's books into over 20 Title I elementary schools in Hampton Roads and Flint, Michigan, promoting literacy, positive self-esteem, and cultural awareness. So right now, I am going to dig into this book about Optimistic Ollie. I chose Optimistic Ollie because right now, if you know, there's a lot of we as adults with this whole COVID situation that's going on. Again, this is an unprecedented situation. I know there's been no time in my life, and I can't remember of another in modern history in the United States where there's been a quote unquote pandemic per se. So we don't know all of this all this going on with this, but what we do know is that we're coming together as a community and that we are here for our children. We are here for each other as a community. So Optimistic Ollie is a great story, a great time to remain optimistic, to tell our children to remain optimistic with all this going on around them. So I'm going to get started with little Ollie here, okay? All right. So I'm optimistic. That's a really big word. I'm Optimistic Ollie. Have you heard? Does Ollie, he looks a little happy, okay, with his little puppy dog there. I always try to be the best me, the very best me that I can be. I try my best every day, but things don't always go my way. So you see, Optimistic Ollie, he is trying here, you know, but like he said, things don't always go his way. And for a young person, that can be frustrating at any age. But for a young person, we know that can definitely, you know, tug on their emotions a little bit. But let's see how Ollie pushes through. Sometimes that makes me a little mad. At other times, it makes me sad. Last week, I had a huge math test. It was really tough, but I tried my best. Let's see how Ollie does with his math test, okay? How many math lovers are tuned in right now? Any math lovers here? Addition and subtraction, numbers big and small. I worked as hard as I could to finish them all. I see what's going on here, you guys, but it's okay. Soon my teacher said, class, you have 5 minutes left. Everyone started turning in their tests. Thank goodness that's over, I whispered to myself. Wait a minute. In a few minutes, the timer chimed. Miss Ryan announced that it was reading time. Thank goodness that's over, I whispered to myself. Then I grabbed my favorite book from off the shelf. While our teacher graded papers, I sat in the reading TP. It's the perfect spot in the room for me. When Miss Ryan returned my test, what did I see? I saw my grade looking back at me. Uh-oh, do you guys see this grade? Do you see Ollie's grade? Do you think Ollie is excited about that grade? She said, don't worry, Ollie. You can try again next week. So I wiped a little tear that ran down my cheek. I went home and I practiced. My sister helped me too. I was determined to ace that test and knew just what to do. A week came and I tried again. I watched Miss Ryan grade my test with her little blue pen. When Miss Ryan returned my test, I was happy as can be. I looked at my paper and saw a beautiful letter B. Okay, Ollie. Yes, I know it's not an A. It's not an A, but that's okay. I tried my best, as you can see, and I am very proud of me. I'll keep on practicing and getting better every day, and pretty soon I'll earn that A. Optimistic means I focus on the good rather than what's bad. I focus on being happy rather than sad. And if something goes wrong, because sometimes it might, I think of a way to make it all right. So Optimistic Ollie, he went through a little journey there, a little trial and tribulation with his math test. And the first time he got that grade back that he did not like seeing, But what do they say? If at first you don't succeed, you try again. And that's what we're supposed to do. And that's what Ollie did. And I think this is a great message. Again, we are promoting building home libraries and increasing library visits. Optimistic Ollie is a great read for a little one in your life about maintaining optimism and persevering. This book also has a checklist for understanding. You can go right through here, and it's a great thing for you to go over with your little one or for them to go over with themselves. It asks some great questions. What does optimistic mean? Choose the statement that best describes an optimistic attitude. What was Ollie's problem in the story? So you get to go back and do some reading comprehension things here with this book. So this is a great tool, Optimistic Ollie by the wonderful Miss Aisha Smith, a friend of Clever Communities in Action. So you definitely want to add this one to your home library, okay? Let me know if you guys enjoyed Optimistic Ollie. Again, that's a quick read for the little ones, because when we're focusing on the little ones, you know how those attention spans are. So we want to make sure that we get something in there that's good and digestible and interesting. And then let's see, I'm gonna bring Rodney back up here. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. There's a wonderful story.
That little Ollie.
I like Ollie. We need more optimism. Less whining and more optimism. Yes.
Yes, we definitely need more optimism in this world. And this is a great time right now to be optimistic. There are a lot of, despite, the main reason why we're doing this is just the way the community is coming together is really, really great. There's time, if you are at home, there's, more abundant bonding time that you have with your family. So we'll look for the optimistic pieces in this situation and make sure, we're looking at how this thing is going to straighten itself out. Rodney, do you have your book on deck?
Y'all want me to read too, huh?
Yes, sir.
You don't want to save me for later?
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
So I'm going to practice, and so this is my first time doing this as well. So I'm ready to go.
Okay. And Tanya says she loved Ollie and she's interested in reading the book to her scholars. Thank you so much for checking it out, and it'll definitely be a great read for your scholars. So thank you, Tanya. And I'm going to step away from the scene and let Mr. Jordan do his thing. All right.
So first I want to say hi to Tanya. She's one of the teachers that I know shared with me some of the reading that she's been doing and has shared online with YouTube. So she's really a pioneer in this, and we are piggybacking on her great work. I'm going to read this book that I was reading for Read Across America. It's by a local author, Demia Lindsay Mitchell. It's called Kinky Curly. A little YouTube video that goes along with it and some music. I'm not going to play the music, but I am going to read the book. So again, it's Kinky Curly Fuzzy Wavy. I like it neat. I like it crazy. We have to practice. Kinky Curly Fuzzy Wavy. I look in the mirror and can't help but smile. I love the color, the length, and style. A gift from Most High, I've had it since birth. I'm all natural, clean Mother Earth. My curls lead the dance and my roots are in tune. They're rocking to the rhythm of the stars and the moon. Wash it, dry it, tease it, mist it. Pick it, flick it, comb it, twist it. Absorbing energy on hot summer days, my hair coils stretch like golden sun rays. With the cold winter snow falling speck by speck, my hair protects me like a scarf around my neck. Fluff it, puff it, brush it, braid it, curl it, twirl it, scrunch it, straighten it. Some people notice as I walk through town, I strut like a queen and my hair is my crown. Others may try to make me frown, they say mean things to pull me down, but I'll defy their gravity just like my hair. Wait and see. Your hair is blah, 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 they say. I twirl my curls and sashay away. Tie it, pull it, pony bun, skipping, flipping, having fun. I do cool tricks and kicks of all sorts. My hair stays in place when I'm playing sports. My hair has superpowers. It can stretch big and round. And when it gets wet, it magically shrinks down. Knot it, part it, oil it, wrap it. When my mom does my hair, I can cause a big racket. Maintaining this crown takes work. Yes, indeed. That's simply the duty for queens just like me. The end. So, as I said, this is a book, Kinky, Curly, Fuzzy, Wavy. It's by a local author, Demia Lindsay Mitchell, right here in Norfolk. It is an outstanding book. And for me, it has even more relevance, just as we've had our General Assembly here in Virginia taking place. I know State Senator Lionel Sproul led some legislation dealing with discrimination that African Americans and women in particular face just dealing with their hair. And so I think this book, Kinky, Curly, Fuzzy, Wavy, produces pride, lets folks know about the brilliance and greatness of all the wonderful hairstyles that we have in the African American community. So I just think that is a great book. As I was reading it to children for Read Across America, both boys and girls of all backgrounds were appreciating what was being said. They touched their own hair. They looked at their own hairstyles. I could see the pride that they had as I was reading the book to them. And so I think this is a great book, once again, that you can get. I know it's available on Amazon, and you can get this book, and it's definitely culturally affirming, as Starr has said. So, Starr, that's my book I wanted to share right now. And as someone who has a unique hairstyle of your own and one that is appreciative, I think that is also a tribute to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I always come with an array of unique hairstyles. I've been told by some they never know how I'm going to show up, and I like it that way. The versatility of the crown, definitely. That was a great read. Thank you so much for that, Rodney. I enjoyed that. I actually don't have that one in my stash. So well, I'm gonna
I can make sure you get a copy of it. Absolutely.
Thank you. And is that a local?
Yes.
Oh, I have to meet her as well.
Yes, you do. Yes. And once we get past all of this, or if we end up doing another live read, right here, I'm sure I can get her to when she's available to come and share and maybe talk to you on one of your online talks that you do. So
yes, I'm excited. I love it. That is great. Thank you so much for introducing that book to us. And again, we hope everybody tuning in that you guys are enjoying this. We love your feedback. Let us know how we're doing, what you think about this, any questions, comments, concerns. We hope that you're enjoying this. Please share so that other people can find out about this. This is our prototype. We will be back this evening tonight at 7:00 p.m. So please tune in. Make sure you have liked the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page. We will put a post out where it's a reminder. You can click reminder and it will remind you to tune in at 7:00 p.m. To tune in to 7:00 p.m. Tonight. So I know I've been enjoying this. How about you, Rodney?
Absolutely. It has lifted my spirits. You're talking about optimistic Ollie. There's so much negativity sometimes. I don't think we appreciate as adults what it can do to our spirit, and then we can unintentionally be passing that on to our children. So just doing this today has lifted my spirit. When I get off here, I'm going to work with computers behind me so that if we have families that are in the neighborhood who need access, we can get those going But I feel motivated and enthusiastic, and I just think this is great. Now I look forward for us testing it again this evening and see if we can get some more families to come on and read to one another.
Yes, 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 definitely. If you are interested in being a village reader, please make sure that you drop your email in the comment section, or you can message me, Rodney, or Tanya, or the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page. Make sure that you give the Clever Communities in Action Facebook page a like. We are here as a community to step in and provide this reading opportunity for our children, for our community, and we want everybody to be a part of it. Of course, at Clever Communities in Action, we are literacy, 365 days a year, literacy and positive cultural representation. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We are going to tune out now, but we will be back at 7 p.m. So again, make sure you like Clever Communities in Action Facebook page so you don't miss out this evening. That evening story, that close to bedtime story, okay? That action, that's what we're thinking about, okay? So you guys have been great. Let's check out these last few comments here before we go. Tanya said that she, both of the Tanya loved the book. And Tanya HL says she loved your expressions, Rodney. She's a natural hair woman herself. I am as well. Rodney did a great job reading that book, definitely. And my friend Bridget up in Flint, who is one of my favorite authors, she said, say that, Rodney. And Tanya, one of our on our Norfolk Public School Board and one of our first village readers, she said it has brightened her mood doing this, and we thank you so much. Thank you, and Sai. And Tanya said that this is a great virtual community. I agree. Where there's a will, there's a way, and we definitely have a lot of will out here, and we are making a way. So y'all, come on, drop those. Get in our messenger if you want to be a guest reader. And we are going to sign out for now. But again, thank you.
One comment before we go.
Huh?
I just had one comment before we go. So we've done this today, and I also know that I have my Teens with a Purpose shirt on. And so Teens with a Purpose, I know they're doing a virtual event today for teens, and they're going to have open mic and music and poetry, and they'll be using another platform, but I'll be sharing that on my page as well. So if there's some teens out there that want to be engaged later on this afternoon, Teens with a Purpose is going to be right there on it.
Excellent. Where there is a will, there's a way. And we're seeing all the ingenuity in our community and the connectivity. So remember that, like Rodney said, when the negativity comes out, take that cue from little optimistic Ollie. And remember, we are writing our own history here. We're telling our own stories. We're conveying our own culture. So no matter how the history books talks about this time, we know what we've done as a village during this time, and let that resonate. So on that note, we're going to be out of here. See you all again at 7 p.m. All right. Peace, you guys.
Thank you, Starr.
Thank you.